Hello, everybody. I'll just get myself. Well, excuse me. Welcome to my live stream, my daily live stream. I was wondering whether doing a daily live stream wasn't going to just start to get too much. And it's actually not bad. I mean, it is time consuming, but this is sort of my way of interacting with people because, in this isolation, this is helping me as much as it is helping you out there. And so it's great to have the interaction and see the chats and see who's joining. And it's just sometimes in this sort of very strange day where sometimes you can't tell what day it is. um, yeah, sometimes you just need that thing to sort of help you connect with the world. And this is my way to do it. Okay, so we've got 3D Sam. Hello from sunny but cold Canada. When is your summer gonna arrive? I guess it's May. I mean, do you still have snow? No, you guys, the snow's melted by now. Hello from Arizona. Rachel George, sunny but also cold UK. And Ken in Massachusetts. D-Regs 3D Sam, we can send the humidity. Yeah. But you know what? There was just a feel of the humidity today here, and it's just sort of that start. But boy, when it's not humid here and it's 70 to 80 degrees, it's perfect. But yeah, probably within the next month it'll be a daily where you walk outside and this sort of wet rag like slaps you across as a wet warm washcloth just slaps you across the face as soon as you step outside, and that lasts about 3 maybe 4 months. So I am thoroughly enjoying it now. In another month I'm just going to be complaining it's so humid. And then I've got an air conditioner here that I usually try to turn off when I video, just because it's sort of that background irritation noise. So I'm not sure if that's going to be happening in the middle of June and July. Hopefully, by that time, actually, I'll be traveling again and teaching. So I may have to reduce the amount of days that I do the live stream. I'll still continue to do it, I think, because I really am enjoying it. But I may have to reduce it, not do it every day. Okay, hello from New York. Hello, Crane Surf. All right. Ozzy, hi from Connecticut. Spring is over, back to cold. What? Michigan, we're still locked down. Yes, I know. I think it's starting to sort of open up small things around here. Troy Downs, hello from Richmond, Virginia, Belgium. Abisha, welcome. Hi from Michigan, 2020, Alex Brown, thank you. Hilton Head, Eastern Washington. 3D Sam next year, yes. Have to come down and visit soon. Sandra Ruby, hello from Michigan. Anne from Nova Scotia. Send some warmth up to Canada. Hi from Simpsonville, South Carolina. It's just down the road. Esker just watched yesterday's session offline. I was surprised that you didn't take any measurements while working on the scarf area. Just eyeballing it. Yeah, with this scarf, I didn't have enough wood for that little curl, so I kind of had to make it work, and I did a little bit of adjusting, and yeah, as long as it looks like a curling, that basic shape of curling drapery, I think it's gonna work. So we'll see. Polar vortex in Ontario. What? That just sounds cold. CTK Mike is checking in from Oroville, Northern California. Welcome. Annie, Cambridge, Massachusetts. Judy from Bellevue, Nebraska. Selena in the humidity-free Nevada. Yeah, you guys are always humidity-free, aren't you? In Nevada? I'll miss it, but I understand. I really, really enjoy just watching you carve. It's mesmerizing. If watching helps, my carving skills are. Oh, that's great. So, Sylvan, hi from Big Canoe in the mountains of North Georgia. Okay, well, get a few more people. All right, so I'm just gonna make my face really, really small here. You don't need to see that. You want to see carving. Okay, so we have a little window here that shows the distance. I don't know if that's really necessary, but it's not really going to get in the way. And then the part that I'm actually carving here is I've got the camera switched. Now it's over my right shoulder. I really do hope that I am not going to end up getting in the way. So yeah, I'm getting to that point where the face is getting very, very close to start doing the details. And I'm just going to go ahead and start to round over this. See, I'm always doing something other than that. Like, no, I don't want to do that. Let's just do the hairline, okay? Let's just do that because it's safe. Hair is okay. So we've got this coming down here, curling in, going inside the scarf. That's the scarf edge. And then that is going to curl down that way. Yes, that's called procrastination. I know I have to get at that face eventually. And it's getting there slowly. But sometimes the concentration and the focus that is required on doing the details of the face, sometimes it's just a little bit more challenging while I'm talking and walking through it, because it really does require that just concentrated effort of really paying attention. So, all right, let's see here. We've got some... Hi from Oz. Lady Jane is looking awesome. Thank you. From Australia. Thank you, thank you. She's coming. She's coming out. She's coming out of the woodwork. All right, so should I just do it and just dive in? All right, I'm going to do a little bit more defining of this area right here. So this kind of tucked in area. It's surprising how deep that goes, and I don't think I've gone deep enough there. So just going to go ahead. Now, when I was saying earlier, I really try to avoid carving holes, and I've kind of gotten past that. There's at some point you do have to carve holes and make that decision. Just do it. Okay, now I'm leaving this kind of a little bump. I can take a little bit away. Okay. Luca 73, agree. All right, Tupanka, is the idea to replicate the texture, or will you go for more detail because it's wood? I think I'm going to probably keep it that very smooth marble texture. So probably what I'll do is just, especially the skin part, once I get it all detailed, I'll use a flatter gouge, because right now this is a number 7. I'll use a flatter gouge to smooth it out, and then I will probably sand over the surface just to give it that that youthful skin look. And because if you leave it too much, it's just it's not going to have that softness, and she needs that soft look. Okay, so there's a little bit of a bump still there. Now, as I'm doing this, I don't know if you can see my eyes, but basically I'm looking at this and I'm looking at her. Okay, so I'm sort of positioning, this is the part right next to the nose, and I'm looking at her, seeing where is the high spot. Okay, so I'm constantly referring to the original. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just so I can, as I'm coming along here, and then just shaping it so the actual shape of the cheek ends up being similar. So there's a high spot. The high spot is probably about right there. So that is right about there. Okay, see to get the youthful glow of basswood. Yeah, that's it. Never really thought of that, but yeah. I notice my head sort of getting in the way sometimes. I'm going to try to not do that, but we'll see. If it does, if my head gets in the way too much, just let me know in the chat, and then I can probably move it away. Just trying not to get in the way. All right. Okay. See, the mouth is what I'm really avoiding. And so the nose is going to be right there. It kind of tucks in right there. Now, actually, be honest with you, I'm just avoiding the whole face if I can until the very end, because it's kind of a scary time. So, you know what? Oh, should I? All right. There's a little divot right there. I'm gonna go for it. So chin, I'm gonna leave the chin there, and then I'm gonna carve a little. I know there's a anatomical name for that. Anybody know? Any doctors out there? Any facial surgeons? So I'm going to go ahead and just take that away. I know there's going to be a bunch of people Googling, what is that thing below your lips? Okay, let's see. So Rachel George, if you couldn't use basswood, what would be your next choice? Stop avoiding the face. I think, well, I've actually carved a bust in mahogany before, and it was really beautiful. It was hard. I mean, really, really hard. But and I'll grab that. Unfortunately, it's way in the corner. I will bring it out one of these days. But it was a carving. A friend of mine, Bob Van Dyke, who's actually going to be a guest this Thursday, showing how to carve or how to make fan inlay and fan shading. He had this big block of mahogany. Don't know where it came from, but it was beautiful. Just this big block, probably maybe 6 by 8 and maybe 15 inches tall, something like that. And it was sitting around his shop for a while. And he gave it to me, and it was really beautiful. I had no idea what the state of it was. I didn't know because it was very rough sawn. It's probably from a big beam somewhere. Maybe I have no idea what it was, but it was really a beautiful piece of wood. Probably old growth Honduran or something like that. But it required a huge amount of effort, but it was so gorgeous to carve. All right, I'm just doing it. Scary. Here, see, now I'm I'm avoiding it. What's the next comment? How do you pick the right size of the tools? It's all about experience. You know what? What I've used so far is all curved gouges, anywhere from a number 7. Yeah, pretty much all number 7s. This is actually a number 7 8 millimeter. But what I'm trying to do, and you can see there's a lot of tool marks, but I'm really more sculpting at this point. I'm removing the wood. Any kind of detailing, any kind of finalizing of the surface is going to be used with flatter gouges, but this is really that discovery part of kind of taking a little bit away. Now, when I was roughing out the majority of it, when I wasn't this refined at all, I was using the 714, and then I reduced it down to the 710, doing more of sort of the face and the neck, and now I'm down to the 7/8. And so it's curved enough so it's still removing a considerable amount of wood in each cut, but it's just a little smaller, and it gives me a little bit more control over what's happening and how much is being removed. Okay, I think that's actually getting there, so you have to look at it from the side. See, this is when I just sort of get lost in it and you won't hear from me for a while. It's like, okay, oops, sorry, get in the way. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and tackle, now fortunately you can see me from the camera, but I've got this angling down there, that angling down there, and it's surprising, this part, I'm going to put my chisel down while I'm pointing to my face. This part here comes out quite a bit. It angles down, and now she's got that sweet little teeny lips, but mine are a little wider. But it comes down, and then it kind of dips in right there, and then it flows. Oops, so it flows down that way. It's surprising how far out it comes in the center, and then just flows back. So I'm going to, because if you look at that, she's got sort of she's got that Greek nose, the one that doesn't really indent right there. A lot of the Greek statues have that, where it's just a straight nose and then it flows right into the forehead. There's really no dip there. There's a corner, but it's not a dip. And the mouth also, you can see it's that sort of the actual inside corner of the lip is kind of shaped like an M. And that's also a very a sculptural set of lips, where sort of that Michelangelo set of lips that sort of has that real M shape of the inside, and really it really is a very sculptural type of lips. Now, see, if you look at mine, I don't have that kind of shape. They're kind of boring. Okay, where do we use? How do you pick the right size? Okay. That area is known as the cleft of the chin. Oh, but I know there's a medical term. I know. There's some, I know there's a word for this, and I know there's a word for this part, but anyway, I'm sure it's sort of some very long scientific name. Okay, creme. Been carving black walnut. Really nice. It's beautiful. Yes. It is a beautiful wood to carve, truly is. Yeah, I do like black walnut, and really good old growth mahogany is probably my favorite. All right, hopefully I won't lock this. Oops, bumping the camera. Okay. There we go. I knew somebody was going to come up with it. Okay, we've got, looks like she has a pout on. Rob Suggs. The philtrum is the notch below the nose. Okay, so that's the philtrum. We'll get to that. And then the labiomental groove, area that separates the lower chin and the chin. So this part right here, the groove right there. And it's quite muscular, actually, when you think about it. You know, this part here kind of does a little bit of a curve up, and then this gets a little straighter. So it's really just this little ball right there at the chin that we tuck in. Fuddy, let's see. Recently did a carving in black walnut as well. I thought the wood behaved well, but it's very hard and took some effort to carve into. It is, and you need really sharp tools, but it is beautiful. It has beautiful results, and just the grain is lovely. Let's see. William 748. Hello from Westport. Now it looks like HRIYC. I don't know how to pronounce that. Sometimes I just see that there's a little asterisk there. If you tried to put a URL, sometimes that happens, and it just doesn't allow you to put URLs in this. 3D Sam, how can you get pics of Lady Jane? You're talking about the finished one? I'm not sure what you. Cabinet making, I really love cherry. Have you carved cherry? I have carved cherry. It's hard. It's quite a but yeah, you can do some really fine details, but it requires just a huge amount of effort, physical effort, and really sharp tools. Probably, I know, along the same line as walnut, but it's a lovely wood to carve. You need to be careful not to get curly cherry. Okay, I get pictures of. So yes, are you wanting that one picture that was sort of up in the corner? Which I think I got it right here. Hold on. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but that one? See, I don't want to get in the way. We can actually put it in front of this one because that's kind of not really doing anything, is it? Yeah. Is that what you're talking about? Okay. There, how's that? You can kind of see now. There, we can see what the goal is. So this little space, her little space between the nose and the upper lips is very, very tiny. I think mine's bigger than that. You know, it's interesting also if you if you notice, I've heard that a lot of people who do sculptures and do figure sculptures, they end up making a lot of their sculptures look like themselves because that's their only reference. You know, if you take a mirror and you do you know, have it in front of you to study facial features, a lot of times they end up looking very, very much like the artist. So fortunately, I have her here that I can refer to, so I won't be doing a self-portrait. She's kind of got a funny looking lip right there. All right, let's just keep on going. The problem is it's kind of hard to get at it from this point. I totally didn't. Sorry, Googled face anatomy. Yeah, the URL. That's sort of one of those general Twitch things. I guess they assume that it's a spam thing. Somebody throwing in a URL. So that's just one of those rules we sort of learn along the way. All right, get in there. All right, I want to make sure of one thing. Right now, the width of the nose is not set. So very gently, set the width of the nose from there to there. A little bit offset. I'm gonna have to shift it over a little bit. I'm hoping that there's enough nose left. Hopefully I haven't taken too much away. Okay, CTK. Cherry worked well for springerly cookie mold carving Mary teaches in her classes. Yes, that's actually a really good one to use for that, because it's hard and you it holds up quite nicely. All right, that is a decisive cut. How's that? Woohoo! It's terrifying. There's no going back after that one. All right, that's the outside, and now the other side is right about there. I can't see it that close. Sort of carving upside down here. Okay, if my green man looks like me, one of us is in trouble. Yeah, but as I said before, the nice thing about the green man carving is you can kind of make it look like, you know, like a monster thing, you know, like a gargoyle. That's what's nice about carving that type of thing, because if it doesn't really look like a human being. But you know, it's interesting actually. When I taught a Green Man class up at Roy Underhill's, I'm actually going to teach another one this fall. There were people who actually almost look similar to that Green Man, you know, because what I do is I have them bring a mirror so they can actually look and you can study just the little nuances of the mouth and, you know, the eyes and all of that. And yeah, so you can carve your own self-portrait Green Man. Sorry, I keep kicking the camera. Okay, I saw a spectacular green man on Reddit yesterday. That wasn't yours. Oh, I think I might have seen it too. Was it one that was just recently finished? I don't know. I'm trying to think of who that was. I saw something on Instagram recently, and it was really amazing. The just the detail on the leaves and everything. All right, got to attack it from this side. Give her a little bit of a nose job here. Little plastic surgery. Okay, so her nose is really thin. This part here is really thin. In fact, you know, when you're talking about true anatomy, this is probably a little bit stylized, a little perfected in that sort of smoothness, because when you feel it, there's this bone right there. There's no bone at all right there. There's not that sort of, you know, thing right there. She's got that sort of sculpted nose. So we're going to stick with the sculpted nose. How about that? Escargot. So now that this nose is fixed, I assume all the other facial fixtures are fixed. Very close. Yes, very, very close. The brow is positioned in the right place. The eye, everything is kind of locked in. And so, yeah, everything is going to have to be based on that. And I'm really, really hoping, and I did enough checking. I was hoping that everything compared to the hair and the scarf and the neck and all of that, I think I've got it. There may have to be a little bit of adjustment, maybe a little thinning on the neck, but very, very close. I wouldn't do this detailing if I wasn't really sure of it, because otherwise I would just be going back and forth and fixing and adjusting, and too much unknown is I would just have to completely redo all this. Okay. Hard to get at that one. Yeah, she's still kind of puckering up a little bit. Sorry, you guys still there? Oh, getting lost into my work. All right. Okay, so let's see. Nope. But I have progress pictures. Oh, of the Green Man. That's looking pretty impressive. I saw it on Instagram. It's thick. You've got it like 2.5 inches. Is that right? With the Green Man. The one that I showed how to carve is only 1 inch. So yeah, you got a lot of room to put the whole face. Almost three-dimensional Green Man. All right, where's Roy Underhill? I can't get his show anymore here in Massachusetts. Now, sadly, his show is no longer, but you can probably find reruns. I think they stopped filming it last year. So, but I haven't talked to him about this yet. But it would be really really awesome to have him as a guest and just to say hi through Skype on this live stream. So I'm going to talk to him and see at some point. We'll see what's going on with that. Yeah, that's right. The carving had just been completed, no sanding, and the first coat of finish applied. Yeah, I think. Oh, I wish I could find who that was, but I'm going to have to. Those program wasn't picked up after season 36. Yes, very sad. I think one of the longest running PBS shows out there. Very sad. William, Mary, do you have a trick for doing hands? The one thing that's really nice about carving hands is that you've got a model sitting in front of you. Really helps. And I have carved quite a few hands just because you have it there, and you can, obviously it's going to look like your hand, but you have it there and you can turn it, you can rotate it, you can look at it from all angles. And yeah, same thing. It's just the trick with any kind of facial feature or any kind of either hand or even like a whole full figure, you really need either to really study it and know anatomy and know it really well, or have something to refer to, have something to measure. The whole thing, if you're going to do your own hand, you have something to measure between, the space between from one knuckle to the other, and you've got that to work with. It just helps so much more. I mean, the fact that I have her to refer to and to measure and everything is going to be based on her. And it's just amazing how much that helps. Ooh, she's rocking a little bit. I'm curious to see how you get those deep dimples in there. Yeah, me too. A little tiny tool. Probably a Vayner, number 11. CTK, while you've been using a number 7 gouge for many days now, it looks like the chips you're removing currently are much thinner than when you're doing several days ago. Well, it's a much smaller number 7. All right, so we're talking about the one that I have been using is 8 millimeter. All right, the one that I was using, where is that? This one. Okay, so these were the 3 that I was using. All right, so we've got number here. Let's do it that way in front of the cameras. Look at that. So we've got 14 millimeter, 10 millimeter, and 8 millimeter. All right, so all number 7s, but they just get a little tighter, a little smaller. And as I start doing the details, it allows me to just not take too much away. Okay, 2 1/4 inches. That's the Green Man. Yeah, that's a lot of wood. Escadette, it looks like you. I'm not sure. She's got that little cute little pouty mouth. I don't think so, but thank you. Fat fingers. It looks like you have carved a very sharp angle under the nose. I would think you want a slight radius. How do you get the radius? It's not actually a slight radius. The hard edge is this part here. That's the only part that's a hard edge, and that should be a corner. But this is going to be more of a radius, and as it sort of flows down. But this corner right there and this corner right there is going to be that is actually that. You can see here, that's right there, and then this ends up being a little softer, but the sharpness goes all the way into the nostril, and then it softens here. So can't see that angle right now, but that's basically where it is. So right here, that is the soft area right there, softened. oops, sorry, probably blocking that. Now, at some point, when I start doing these details, I'm going to move to a flatter one. Because right now, by going in there, even taking tiny bits away, it's still enough where I'm gonna have to do a lot of cleanup. And so at this point, I can maybe use, this is a number 5/8, and just start going along there. And that's really only when I know that I've gotten to that point where I don't want to remove anymore, but it's just a cleanup. Okay, I think she's coming. All right. I'm avoiding the mouth. Can you tell? Okay, you know what I need to do? Just going to go ahead and do this. Where was this? Okay, so we got the brow, eye. I want to remark this. So we've got the eye. Can you see that? Okay, so eye is going to be right there. That's basically the center of the eye. Okay, and then tip of the nose is right there. So far, so good. Tip of the nose right there. The bottom of the nose right there. Top of the lip is right there. Center right there, and then lower. All right. Oh, somewhere it got off. All right. I think we're okay though. All right, now before I go too far, I want to measure the width of the mouth from dimple to dimple. Gently. Okay, so this is like the inside of that little dimple, and from here to there. Oops, pencil slipped. She looks like she's got a fang. Okay, and it's let me turn her a bit so you can see. She's actually got a little bit of a gentle smile. You know, so you've got this really that M shape inside, and then you've got this sort of curling up as it goes to the edges. So let me just put this back. Scary doing this like at the end. Okay, So if I'm doing this, I can actually look from here and I can really see. So we've got kind of a dip down right there. Sorry, I'll do this so you can see what I'm doing. So we've got the center of the nose right there, basically like that. Okay. So we've got a little bit of that M shape there, curling up there, and then coming down there, and then coming back up. It's not showing up very well. That. Okay, now I think what I'm going to do, so you can actually see this a little bit better, bear with me, I'm going to go right in there, the scary part. Hold on. See, now you can see my camera equipment up there. All right. The eyes are looking weird because I carved a bunch of the lines away. Let's just do that because it's kind of disturbing. There, that's better. All right. I'm going to go ahead and I am going to make my V-chisel right down here. All right, so I'm going to take this like that and do kind of an M shape. All right, that's that. I know it's still kind of sticking out a little bit. And what is that? Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go along the bottom edge of this, and it's going to go quite deep in there, and then this is also going to come down Okay, so what I'm trying to do is create that really pretty aggressive M shape. So it comes down there. Just want to do a cut like that. That's going to be the inside. And there's another one on this side. And then there's a little curve there. And then it curves just a little. This is a number 3. I'm finally using a little, a smaller one. And this is going to go really quite deep. So from there to there. Okay, I know it looks kind of strange right now, but now I'm going to come in here and really take that down into there. And then I'm going to take this one, lower lip, Are you breathing? I don't know if I am. I should have to take off my glasses so I can see what's going on. Yes, it's a good idea to breathe when you're carving, but sometimes it's a little nerve-wracking. Makes it look like she's got a little bit of a mustache. Now right there's a little dimple, and I'm going to take a tiny little one. Where is that? I'm just going to take from there. This is a number 11. And really make that softened dimple. I may have to use a smaller one because right now it's just not quite getting deep enough. So I'm probably blocking this. Oh, okay, here we go. It's like, Rob, you make it look so easy. It's not. Oh, buddy, is that a number 11? Vayner, yes, number 11. I might end up getting a smaller one because it just didn't quite get the curve that I needed. All right. Yeah, her lips, the ones that I'm carving, are not quite as plump as hers. Then there's, so again, that sort of sculptural lip. This lower edge has got this little divot right here. Do you see that right there? It's really quite an aggressive little divot. And then this part comes down. See, I may not have made that aggressive enough, that little curve. So I might have to just do a little bit of a more of an angle down like that. Oops, sorry about that. Keep blocking it with my head. And if you look sideways, the lower, now this is that's something I haven't done. If you look at from here, it really steps lower on the lower lip on her. So this part here is actually going to go quite a bit lower, and then it goes. I think that's looking okay. Now it's the other side. That's the trick. You know, you get it one side, and then you have to make the other side even. So maybe you can give her a little Botox. Yeah. Can you tell this is a nerve-wracking part? Just breathe a little. All right, so now this is going to go like that, and it's just. And I really, really referring back to her a lot, looking at it and just making sure, because it's not quite, I mean, she's definitely has a really aggressive dimple there. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to take this veiner and just soften it a bit. Ooh, that actually worked really well. Sometimes it just surprises you. Surprises you when you, oh wow, okay, it's coming, it's coming. Okay, I need to take a little bit of a breather. You know, I'm probably going to stick with this for a little bit. If you want to stay with me, make sure she doesn't roll off the table. I really do want to get to the point where I've got her mouth done. So if you guys want to stick around, I'm looking at it. Looks like the nose is a little crooked now compared to the mouth. Oh well. Yes. Okay. CTK, what is the trick of taking such thin shavings on each slice of the gouge? Oh, just tiny little patience. That the trick is just the details, and it just comes with, you know, using the gouges and trying to get them finesse. You know, and the thing is too, I don't always use really tiny gouges to do this. Also, it's not necessarily the size of the gouge. It actually ends up being more the size of the cut that I'm actually making with that gouge. So there are quite often times when I'm actually using a larger gouge that maybe you wouldn't really think is the best one to use, but if you're only using a tiny little bit of it, then it's not really, it doesn't really matter. Like, you know, along here, just using tiny little dimple area there. Okay, Rob, your ability to translate what you see to what you carve amazes me. Well, thank you. We can sort of cover her up, and then I can just make it up as I go. I still am not real happy with the shape of the lips. And this is something that happens with my carving. And again, maybe because I refer to my own face and I have quite thin lips, so making that really shapely lips, you know, that those sculptural lips, is a challenge because I just want just flat. So I'm really trying to give this some extra shape. I suppose with clay, if you mess something up, yes, you just slap some more clay on and there you go again. With wood, I guess you just have to get one shot at it. That's why just taking tiny little bits away is important to be able to do this. Now I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a bit. If we can try to bear with me, because I think this is kind of important to be able to see this. All right, much better. Now you just won't be able to see her. Oh no, this is scary. You guys can see more than I can. All right. Your lips are so much nicer than Lady Jane's. Why, thank you. Oh, you mean hers? Okay. That's funny. This is looking good. Thank you. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and work on this other side. I got to take off my glasses. Oops. Well, that's not going to work, is it, if my head's in the way? All right, I'll try to back away. Just ends up getting a little bit more awkward to aim at it if I can't get in there. Now this part down there needs to do the same thing quite a bit lower. But I'm really trying to remember those marks that I made of the width of the mouth, really trying to not let it get too wide, because her whole character is just this very sort of petite little mouth. And so I'm really trying not to take too much. And then a little bit of a turn up, not as in like the vegetable, a turn up, turn up of the mouth. Yeah, it's getting late. Okay, so by doing that really deep inside edge and making sure that is that M shape, that really defines a good shadow of where I'm going to. And then just, so this is a high edge and that's a high edge, and it just simply rounds down to it. And the one thing that happens quite often with carving of lips is it ends up looking like it's sort of pursed, like you're sort of puckering up. And that's because a lot of times people get the concept that lips are actually the sort of separate element of a face, and they stick out like this. And they actually set quite deep in right here. They actually go inside on the shape of the face, like right here. That's not, and then this part here kind of blends. So I think that's the tricky part, is a lot of people do an entire edge around the lips, and even at the sides, it ends up kind of an actual edge sticking out on the side. So that's real typical if your beginner carver is not doing that little inside dimple area, and that really is what creates some really neat shadow. Okay, Shav, thank you. This is looking great. Thank you very much. You still have room to make it work. Yes. Just needs a bit of definition. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah, that's all it is. It's always finishing up. Just a little finishing up. Yes, good to remind us to breathe. You guys holding your breath too? Yes. The exaggerated M shape of the lip in classical art and even in cosmetology is often referred to as a Cupid's bow. Oh, I did not know that. Well, there you go. The Cupid's bow. Right. So I don't want that to get too wide, but it is a soft little dimple. And let's see, where are we going with that? So now, and what was the name of that little thing up there? I know somebody mentioned it. Love how sharp your tools are. Some of the most important things in wood carving. Oh yes, definitely, definitely. All right, there's going to be that little dimple thing right there, but not a sharp corner there. Blends. All right, now now that I've got the lips pretty close to being shaped, now I can do a little bit more finalizing of the edges. Let's see, that's going to come in like that. Now we're dealing with a little bit of grain switching. And, all right, if you guys, the philtrum, thank you, thank you. Yeah, like I said, this is why I'm a carver and not a doctor or a nurse or somebody who needs to remember all the names of those things. And then I lost that little, she's got a pretty aggressive little divot right there. So I'm going to go ahead and do that right there. And then this side here probably needs to be thinned down a bit. So that's basically it. Oh no, she's got a crooked nose. Yeah, so you guys can't actually see that from that angle, but if you look like this, I'm going to have to take this down a bit and then re-angle the nose. Yeah. Sort of looks like one of those English football players, you know, with a nose that sort of goes off to the side. All right, well, I'm going to have to play around with that. But anyway, I'm quite happy with the way that the lips are. And do you see how long it takes to carve just one little detail? And I'm sure I will play around with it a bit, because that's what I do. But again, this cut right here, I'm taking this one number 3/6, and I'm just making this very deep inside cut and then bringing everything down to it. Now the first one I did, first cut I made was just a V-chisel, and that clears all of that sort of inside area away, and then I went and defined it a bit more. All right, so I'm going to have to play around with it a bit. Notice I said play. This is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be too nerve-wracking. Oh, sorry, I keep bumping. I have to sort of climb inside this. All right, from there. Whoops, did I just bump that? Sorry about that. Whee! Which way are we doing here? Whoops. Not quite sure what happened there. Okay, how are we doing out there? What do you want? Wouldn't you want Jane on a carver's screw? No, it's at this point, she is pretty much clamped onto this board. It's hard to see at this point. But I've never had any success with that. It's always sort of loosened on me when I put a lot of pressure on the carving. It never quite holds well. So I've got her actually screwed into the back of the board. So when I work on the back side, here, I'll show you what's going on with that. Let me just see if I can show this from a distance. From here, you look at it from there. See, I've got that basically screwed onto the backer board, and then if I need to, I can take this, which is an extra piece of wood, and I can put that into this vise, and I can spin it in all directions. Eventually that's going to happen, but I'm trying to do most of it from the top here. Let's get me out of the way again. Okay, any other questions? She was kicked by a goat as a girl. Peasant life is hard. Yes. We all have our stories, you know? So she's done a bit of boxing in her past, yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna probably have to work on the nose. And you know what? I'm looking at her, and it's quite a delicate little nose. And we'll back up. looking at her, and I think mine is just a little bit big, so I've got a little room to play on the nose, but I really am quite happy with the mouth. I might end up doing a little bit more of that little dimple area, but I'm going to hold off on that until I get everything else positioned, because I may have to do a little bit of reshaping of the mouth once I figure out the exact position of the nose. But yeah, that's the mouth is probably the trickiest. Well, actually, having said that, the eyes can be very challenging too, which I'm going to be putting off for a long time. Okay, where are we here? Let's see. Okay, if the nose gets too small, you can sand the original. Your friend will be fine with it. Good point. Yeah, there you go. It was the way I was copying it. Very enjoyable and learned good information. Thank you. Thank you, Sandra. The mouse looking great. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, we're just finishing up here. How are you able to feed 3 camera views in a single screen? How are 2 cameras attached to your Mac, assuming you're using the laptop camera? Well, the one that is right viewing my face is the laptop, and then I've got this thing here pointing down. And if you, I have it plugged in with something called an Elgato video capture card, and that's how I get this attached to my program. So if you're interested in wanting to do a bunch of that, it's called Elgato, and it's this little card that you plug your camera into. And the actual program that I'm using to do this is called OBS, and so it gets pretty crazy. So all of this is plugged into OBS, and then OBS is sent to Twitch. So yeah, it was quite a quite a learning curve of how to figure all that one out. William, I think that your carving will have more detail than the stone bust, which is nice. It's going to be interesting. I mean, yeah, it's we'll we'll see how that goes. Yeah, William, you can get deeper cuts. You know what? And that's what actually makes me wonder if this one wasn't machined. I mean, a lot of times, even at the turn of the century, 1900, they had a machine that could duplicate things. But because there's some little details that just makes me wonder whether that maybe it was like finished by hand, roughed out by machine and finished by hand. It's very hard to tell because some of it is actually quite detailed. Like there's the little the veins on the rose leaves. Her eyes are very, very deep and sharp. The inside of the lips are very sharp, but then the hair is a little bit vague. But maybe that was what they wanted to do. It really is very hard to say. And I don't see any actual chisel marks. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean anything either, because generally with marble, you end up sanding it all finished anyway, so you wouldn't see the chisel marks. But it's hard to say. Really, really is hard to say about the original. Okay. Would it help to stand her up for a bit to get a better perspective to make sure everything lines up? Yeah, actually what I'm doing right here is line up like this. I'm actually visually lining up because I have to look sideways at her to be able to do that. But yes, lining up so you can actually make sure that the the eyes and the nose and the mouth and everything lines up straight, along with the cheeks, because doing something sideways like this is tricky. It's not only sideways, but it's slightly tipped this way. So yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff happening with this and trying to make sure, because if you look at her, it's kind of an angle down. Okay, that's where I think mine is doing that to an extent, but I think my mouth actually got a little straight. It did more straight where the nose is angled off, and you sort of get caught up in the details of something like that, and then you don't look at how it's relating to what's next to it. But I still have a little bit of room to play with it. Yeah. I can shift. Fortunately, her nose is just a little bit larger than the original, so I can shift it. Okay, we'll use a bent gouge for the dimples. Not necessarily. I probably end up using a little, just another one of these, the number 11s, and just a little smaller, and just get right into it. Not really necessarily, a bent wouldn't necessarily get into it any better. A bent gouge is more for getting into like really hard to get areas, but this is actually pretty exposed. I just need to be able to get in and kind of soften that, but not there's actually not that much more. I probably end up maybe getting maybe a 2 millimeter veiner, something like that, a really small one that'll just do that final deepening of that. Okay, well, thank you everybody. Troy down, Crane. What kind of camera are you using and how much they may cost? These are Sony 4Ks, and they, I don't know how much they're, around $1,000, something like that, $1,000. I don't know if you really need anything that fancy. This is what we do all the online videos for my school with. So I've got 3 of them around to get all the different camera angles, but I'm just using one for this. Haven't figured out how to actually attach 2 different views. I think my computer is not strong enough for it, and it'll just be, it'll complain all the way. But they're good cameras. I've had them for a couple years. So that's why I don't know how much they are now. I've had them for a couple years, so. Okay, well, thank you everybody. See you tomorrow. What day is tomorrow? Wednesday? Yeah. Rob, you impressed me in every episode and inspiring me to get back to my bench. Thanks. Hey, are you about ready to carve the mouth of the green man? I think you're coming close. So, yeah, there you go. Put little cute dimples in the green man. Okay. All right. All right. 3D Sam, take care. Stay warm up there. All right. Thanks, everybody. Encouraging to watch. Go carve something. Good. I love to hear that. Spend the afternoon carving. All right. Well, thanks, everybody. And we will see you tomorrow, same time. Bye. I'm going to resist working on her too much. I might try to straighten it out, but I'm going to resist doing too much so you can actually see the next steps. All right.